Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Wolf Lounge. Today, as promised, I'm taking you inside the game, and I'm going to show you the planes you can fly and some features of DCS. Now you'll notice that right now, I am not in a plane or in control of a plane. I'm in control of a ground unit. This is the SA-19 Tunguska Russian Mobile SAM unit. You're able to take control of certain ground units, including this one, with the module Combined Arms. So I'm going to go into Drive and I'll take you down so we can see some of the airplanes. Nice little hum of the engine there. You can see the radar spinning on top of it. There's a very nice ground unit here. And there are our planes. First, I'll be showing you the FC-3 planes. You can see them all nicely lined up here. So let's cut back. Okay, first up we have the Su-33. This is the Russian naval plane. You can see its wings are folded up. This plane has 4 hardpoints on its wings for carrying weapons. It has hardpoints underneath each of the air intakes and 2 under the fuselage itself. This aircraft has a IRST, which will go and find an enemy airplane's heat signature, so you don't have to use your radar and you can do nice little sneak attacks. It will also have a very strong wheel brake, so it will hold the plane in place when the afterburners are on for carrier takeoffs. And it has a special afterburner for carrier takeoffs so that you can safely get off the carrier's deck without needing the catapult like the US airplanes do. Now with this aircraft, there's a word of advice for you. If you're going to take off from the forward positions on the aircraft carrier, only load up weapons on your wings and use half fuel. It'll be a little bit difficult, but you can still get it off the aircraft carrier deck safely. You can go with no weapons and full fuel, but that is very difficult to get it up and safely clear the water. If you want to use full fuel and all weapons loaded, I would suggest going to the aft takeoff position. You can do that. Again, it'll be difficult to get it up and miss the water, but it can be done. The Su-33 here is the only DCS Russian aircraft to have a aerial refueling capability. You can see there on the side, the probe is tucked inside there. So you can actually take off with minimal fuel, reach a tanker, and refuel. And then you can go ahead and go off to your mission points. Now I'll go ahead and move forward a little bit. And we see a slightly familiar plane here. This is the Su-25A. The Su-25T comes free with DCS, but the A comes with Flaming Cliffs 3 or FC-3. This one is not as sophisticated as the Su-25T, of course. It has the same engines, but you can see the back does not bulge up. That's because it does not have the ECM or TV capabilities that the Su-25T does. It does have a laser, but it does not truly track the ground units. You would have to control it for that. It does carry weapons under all of its hardpoints on the wings. Unlike the Su-25T, again, since it has no TV pod or TV camera capability, you cannot use the TV-guided missiles or bombs. So it is limited, but it's also not as heavy as the Su-25T, so it's easier to get it off the ground on short runways. Next we come to my favorite planes. You can see we have 3 MiG-29s. Now that is not a miscalculation. I didn't just add 3 in here because I like the plane. These are 3 different versions of the same plane. First here we have the MiG-29S. You can see it has a slightly larger, shall I call it, a backbone behind the canopy. That is the ECM jammer that will allow you to jam enemy aircraft radars and force them to come closer to get a lock on you. Now the MiG-29S also has 2 other nice little capabilities. It is one of only 2 aircraft that can carry the R-77 active radar guided missile, and it is the only plane to have a TWS-2 track while scan capability where you can lock onto 2 targets at the same time, fire the 2 R-77s one after the other. One missile will track one target, one missile will track the other target, and you can take 2 targets out at once. It's a very, very nice capability that only comes with the MiG-29S. Over here, right in the center, we have the MiG-29G. This is the German version of the MiG-29. The MiG-29G does not have the ECM jammer. You can see the back spine there is smaller. It also has weaker engines. It cannot carry the R-77, so you'll be stuck with the R-27ER, R-27R semi-active radar guided missiles, the R-27ET, the R-27T infrared guided missiles, and the R-73 and R-60 short-range infrared guided missiles. And same thing over here with the MiG-29A. No ECM pod, no R-77 missiles, and it has weaker engines than the MiG-29S. You can see though that it does have a nice Kazakhstan skin on here, where the MiG-29G only has, of course, the German skin, and the MiG-29S I have currently on here the Ukrainian skin, but also the Russian skin as well. The MiG-29A can be flown with Iranian skin as well as Russian and Kazakhstan. The next aircraft that we have up here is actually the J-11A Chinese version of the Russian flanker. This one, like the Su-27, has only 3 hardpoints on its wings, so it's 1 less on each wing than the Su-33. It does, however, have a cockpit that is in Chinese. The aircraft and the air traffic controller will speak to you in Chinese if you have the language set to the local language for the aircraft. You can go ahead and switch that to either the language of the DCS version that you have or the local language for each aircraft. I always use the local language. The MiG-29G here will also speak to you in German, which is kind of nice. But the J-11 here, it has weaker engines, but it does carry a nice assortment of air-to-ground weapons. Also, it has lighting on its tail wing and over underneath on the air intakes, the formation lights there. It's the only aircraft outside of Blue Force aircraft on Flaming Cliffs 3 to actually have that. Right beside that one, we have the Russian Su-27. It does not have those lights, as I had stated. It's the only Red Force plane to have those lights. But it does have stronger engines. Another difference, the J-11A is the only other aircraft, except for the MiG-29S, to carry the R-77 missiles. The Su-27 in DCS does not carry those missiles. And going forward, we get to the Blue Force planes. Here we have the A-10A. So with the A-10A, it's similar to the A-10C, but you will not have the laser-guided GBU bombs for this one. You would need to buy the A-10C, which I'll show you later. This aircraft, one thing I can tell you about it, you'll have to be very careful when you take off. One side of the wing will hold the AIM-9M air-to-air missiles. The other wing will hold a jammer pod, and that jammer pod is heavier, so your plane will want to constantly tilt to one side or the other. Try to trim that out. This is a very good aircraft. Personally, I do like the Su-25T better, but that's just my personal preference. The A-10A is very nice, although it is an older version of the A-10. And finally here, we have the F-15C. Now this is one aircraft you will see constantly being flown if you do the multiplayer servers. A lot of people like this aircraft because it can carry 4 AIM-120Cs on the sides of its air intakes. It can carry 2 AIM-9s under its wing pylons, or you can carry 1 AIM-9 and 1 AIM-120, coming up to 6 AIM-120s on this airplane. With its strong engines, it's a very good. Word of advice though, if you go to land, be very gentle with it. The landing gear does tend to bend. Personally, I like the MiG-29 better than the F-15, although the MiG-29 does not carry as many weapons. Okay, that's it for the Flaming Cliffs 3 aircraft. I'll go ahead and take you next to see the helicopters. Hi everyone, we are back, and I'm going to take you now to see the helicopters. And here we are. The first helicopter I'm going to take you to is the UH-1H. That's the Huey. This is one of the more well-known helicopters, of course. You've seen it in Vietnam videos and movies. It's a nice enough aircraft. Personally, I don't fly it that much. To be quite honest, I find the Huey to be a bit of a pain, especially when trying to get it to hover. It does have 2 gunners, one on each side of the doors that you can have. It also has machine guns and rockets, one on each side. It can also carry cargo strung from underneath, and it can ferry troops. It's a nice, if small, helicopter. Personally, I don't use it all that much. The next helicopter we have here is one of the first helicopters that DCS had, and that is the Ka-50, the Black Shark. This is an interesting helicopter. You can see the main rotor blades actually have two instead of just one and then a tail. This one doesn't have one on its tail, it just has two, one on top of the other. Very unique. Also makes it very stable. This one, you can again string cargo up. It has to be light cargo. This is a small aircraft. But it does carry rockets and missiles underneath its wing pylons. It has a gun already on the side, right underneath the right wing pylon. It is not going to ferry troops. Sorry, you can't ferry troops with this one. All you can do is attack. I've actually used this helicopter to attack a Huey, and it worked. The missiles and the guns did work to track the Huey. Very difficult though. I wouldn't advise it for air-to-air attacks. And next we come to my personal favorite. This is the Mi-8 HIP, or the Mi-8 HIP. This is a very large helicopter. Unlike the Huey, this one, you can carry some pretty heavy loads on the sling load for the cargo. It has one gunner that can be installed on the left side and one gunner on the back right side. Now this back side here can actually open up. I'll show you that one in a future video. But it can actually open up and you can see inside the helicopter. It's really nice. It carries 3 weapons here, 3 on each wing. You can carry guns, rockets, and contrary to the Huey, you can actually carry bombs as well. Now there is one downside to the Mi-8, and that is it is very susceptible to what's called VRS, or vortex ring state. Basically, if you're slowing down, you're going real fast in the helicopter flying forward, then you pull back and you try to slow down. You get too slow, it will start shaking and then it'll just drop out of the sky. You have to be careful about that. But you can get this to hover. I have. You can get it to stay in one place, and it has a very nice indicator inside on the cockpit to tell you if you're drifting left, right, forward, or backward, so you can maintain that hover. Another interesting little thing about this helicopter is if you yank back on the stick and point the nose up too quickly, you will actually chop the tail off. I have done this, but you can survive it. You can actually land the Mi-8 in a hover, spinning around with no tail on. I've done it every time and survived every time. That's one of the nice little tricks I'll be showing you later on in a future video. This is a very fun, very interesting helicopter. Now this last one here, I will admit I do not have. I do not have the module for this one. This is the Gazelle. It's a French helicopter. It can carry weapons on the sides. You can see, actually, see right there, it looks like it has a weapon already on the side there. Now, I do not know much about this helicopter. From what I had heard from other people who flew it, it's actually very easy to fly, much easier than the other helicopters. Honestly, I don't know. This is not exactly a priority for me to buy anytime soon, although I do look forward to eventually getting it. But for the 3 helicopters I do have, for me, the Mi-8 is actually easier than the Ka-50 or the UH-1H. So I'll take you on to the next and we'll show you more of the airplanes. This time, non-helicopters, but yet full fidelity. Alright, we are back and I got you away from Russia and Georgia and brought you into the United States. We're here in the Nevada Training Range. I'm going to show you some of the full fidelity jet aircraft. And there they are. These are the Blue Force aircraft. These are the ones that you will see usually flown by Europe, the United States, and its allies. First aircraft I want to show you here is the Mirage. This is the M2000C. Nice French fighter plane. It holds 4 missiles, 2 on each wing. The Magic infrared missile and the I believe it's the 530 radar-guided missile. It can also carry air-to-ground weapons, and you see it has a nice little refueling pod there on the nose. Unlike the Su-33, it does not retract. It is always there. So you're just gonna have to look around that at times if you're in a dogfight or something. This aircraft does have a drag chute, like all the Russian planes do, minus the Su-33. But that parachute can be removed and a flare pod inserted instead. And by flare, I mean it launches flares against heat-seeking missiles, not the targeting pod. Just to make sure I don't confuse anybody there. It's a nice and maneuverable little aircraft, and you can fly it with a multitude of different skins, including one for the UAE, which is nice for the Persian Gulf map I'll show you later. Next is the C-101. Again, I do not have this aircraft. Honestly, I bought one of the trainers before and I really wasn't thrilled with it. Then again, it was made by a different third-party developer. But it's a nice way if you are interested in the trainers. You know, you might be able to add some weapons onto it. I believe you can add some weapons. I don't know which ones. I don't have much to do with the trainer aircraft. This is a C-101, is a Spanish trainer, I believe. But there's not much I can say on it because I don't own it. So I'll take you to one that I do own. And that is the FA-18 Hornet. This is the C version. It is currently in development and is in early access. But it is fairly complete as it stands. This one, you can actually carry a total of 10 AIM-120 missiles on this aircraft. And you can launch off of the aircraft carrier with all those weapons and full fuel because it uses the catapult system. They are working on air-to-ground weapons as well. Some of them are already implemented, some are not. They do have the IR and laser-guided Maverick missiles for air-to-ground attacks, dumb bombs. They're working on the laser-guided bombs and the laser pod. It has not yet been implemented, but they are working on the laser pod to guide those bombs. Also, we just received, not too long ago, the HARM, and that is a anti-radar missile. So if you're flying with a group of friends, multiplayer, and you have enemy SAMs like what I'm driving right here, the F-18 can carry the HARM missiles and knock it out and allow your teammates to fly through. Next aircraft here is the F-86F. Now this is different than the F-86 that was flown in Korea. This one has a very early radar on it and can carry infrared guided missiles. But if you leave the missiles off, you can fly this as if it were a Korean War era plane. And actually it does have its arch nemesis, the MiG-15, available, so you can go ahead and fly against each other without a problem. Next up, we have the one aircraft I recommended before. If you want to start on high fidelity aircraft, this is the one I recommended. This is the F-5E Tiger. This aircraft can carry 2 AIM-9 heat-seeking missiles on the tip of its wings, and a multitude of air-to-ground weapons, dumb bombs and laser-guided bombs. It's very easy to fly, one of my favorites. As you can see, it has a red star there. It's used for aggressor training in real life for the US military. Here, you can fly it in real missions. It's a very nice aircraft, very easy to fly. Just one thing I noticed, if you're flying through a snowstorm, be prepared to not know how fast you are going. I ended up flying through and the indicator for my airspeed froze on me. So I had no idea how fast I was going. I couldn't land it because I had no idea if I was going too slow or too fast. I ended up crashing. Okay, one aircraft brand new to DCS is the Kristen Eagle by Magnitude 3. This is the first non-military aircraft that was brought into DCS. I did not buy it. Quite honestly, I do not have much intention of buying it. Mainly because if I'm going to fly around in DCS, I want to shoot something. And in this plane, you can fly around, but you can't shoot anything. Has no weapon systems whatsoever. It's nice for aerobatics, personally. If I want to fly a tail-dragging aircraft, I'll grab one of the World War II planes. But that's me. Next we have actually the most recent aircraft I had bought, which is the AV-8B Harrier. Now this does have the ability to take off vertically and land vertically. I have not mastered that. I'm not sure I ever will master that. But it is fun to try. This aircraft carries mainly air-to-ground weapons. It can carry a couple of AIM-9 heat-seeking missiles, but primarily it's a ground attack. It does have its own aircraft carrier to take off from. Same with the real US Marine Corps. They have their own aircraft carrier, very small. Take off from that one. No catapult. You don't need a catapult with this. It has its vertical takeoff and short takeoff capability with those nozzles underneath I'm showing you right now. It's an interesting plane, but not one I have mastered yet. Next up, we have the Viggen. This is a Swedish ground attack aircraft. It has the delta wing with the wings in front for stabilization. This is primarily a anti-ship aircraft. It has a multitude of anti-ship missiles that you can launch. There's a short-range version and a long-range version. I have not figured out how to do the long-range version, only the short-range version. It does carry a type of Maverick missile as well as dumb bombs. I've not figured out how to use those either. It's pretty complicated aircraft, but it is one that, quite honestly, I find one of the easiest ones to land. And here we have the A-10C. I introduced you to the A-10A. Told you a little bit about that. Well, here's the A-10C. This one does carry the laser pod. and it does carry laser-guided bombs. It is one that I had the most trouble learning how to use, but I did eventually learn it. Personally, like I said, I like the Su-25T a little bit better, but this is the most advanced version for Blue Force air-to-ground aircraft. Wait a minute. What's that over there? See, let's get a closer look. The Hawk? Hawk, what are you doing in here? You're not a module anymore. Get out of here. Go. Beat it. Go on, get out of here. We don't want you around here. For those who don't know, the Hawk was a module for DCS by the Virtual European Air Operations third-party developer. They have since stopped developing. They were not going to be supporting the Hawk anymore. You cannot fly the Hawk with the exception of DCS 2.5.3. Well, we're at 2.5.4. It is useless now. It never was developed properly, to be quite honest. So, better just to blow it up. Alright, next, I'll take you over to see the Red Force planes. Hello everyone, and we're back in Nevada. And now I'm going to show you the Red Force planes. Okay, for Red Force, the first plane I'm showing you here is the Yak 52 Trainer. Again, this one does not have any weapons attached to it. It is just a trainer. It's a nice prop-driven trainer. Prop-driven that's not a tail-dragging aircraft. It's kind of nice. I do not have it. I do not like trainer aircraft. So, going on to the next one, we have the L-39. Again, a jet trainer. Although this one can carry weapons on it, it's just like the C-101. Again, I have no idea how this plane really works or what's so special about it. I do not have this plane. I do know it was built by Czechoslovakia, used by Russia for training, but that's about all I know about it. So let's get moving on. We're coming to two of my favorite aircraft here. The first is the MiG-15. This is a nice aircraft. It does not have a radar. It does not carry missiles like the F-86F. It has 2 guns and a cannon on its nose. This aircraft, word of advice, do not go slower than 200 kilometers per hour. If you do, you're gonna flip, fall, and crash. I've done that so many times. This aircraft is very nice when going up against the F-86. And for those who like historical missions, flying historical planes, it does have a North Korean skin available. So go ahead and give it a try and kick that F-86 out of the sky. And here, oh, there's a fire extinguisher. I don't know why there's a fire extinguisher, but right next to the MiG-21 there is a fire extinguisher. This is one of my favorites. It is the MiG-21 BIS, or MiG-21 BIS. It is more advanced than the one flown in Vietnam. It carries radar-guided missiles, which are quite honestly lacking. They don't track very well. They don't have very good range. It can carry 4 missiles, or it can carry 2 of the radar-guided missiles and 4 of the R-60 infrared-guided missiles. It does have a attachment on the back side here where it can give you extra lift on takeoff. Be careful on this one, it does not have a good turning radius. You go up against that F5, don't turn with it, use the power of its engine. It's much faster, and get out of there and swing around and try and hit them with your missiles. It does have guns on the bottom. If your guns aren't working, even after you've pushed the arm button, your gear are probably down. Because with this aircraft, if your gear are down, you're not firing anything. So, just so you know. And, again? Hawk, again? You're gonna photobomb me again? Get out of here. You don't work. Boy, will that airplane ever learn. That's all that's available for the Red Force so far. So I'm going to take you now to get a good look at the World War II planes that are currently available. Welcome back, everybody. I am in the historical Persian Gulf to show you some historical planes. So let's take a look over here. There we got our warbirds. These are some nice planes to fly. Little difficult to learn, but still they are quite a lot of fun. The first one I'm showing you here is not the TF-51D, it is the P-51D. You can actually carry weapons on this thing. It has 6 guns in its wing and can carry rockets, bombs, and fuel tanks. This is one of the easiest ones to fly, one of the easiest ones to land. It is, I think, the first World War II module that DCS came out with. It's a nice airplane, very easy to learn. But if you want to shoot it rather than fly with it, you can always pick up this one, the BF-109. This is a nice aircraft here, although quite difficult, especially to take off and land. You can see its landing gear there, kind of squished together, and it's a pain to keep stable. It has 2 guns on its nose, a cannon in its nose. You can carry a bomb underneath, I believe. It is a nice aircraft, but difficult. Personally, I preferred this one here, the FW-190D9. This has 2 machine guns on its nose, 2 cannons in its wings. You can carry rockets, bombs, fuel tanks. Its landing gear is further out, sort of like the P-51, so it's more stable takeoff and landing. Honestly, this one is just plain nice. Little difficult, again, to learn, but is very nice. The BF-109 back there, you have to be careful if you don't have every switch moved just right. Your engine will conk off as soon as you make a turn. The FW-190, well, not so much of a trouble. Next, we have the Spitfire. Now, I do not have this one. It is on my list to buy, maybe not a priority, but it is on there. This one comes in 2 variations. Standard wing, which is what you see here, and clipped wing, which means that the tip of the wing is clipped off. It has guns and cannons in its wings only, and again can carry bombs, rockets, extra fuel tanks. The landing gear is close together, sort of like with the 109, so takeoff and landing, it's a bit unstable. Just be careful with that. Personally, the P-51 is easier, but I like the FW-190 the most. Okay, that is it for the warbirds. So I have a nice little surprise for you. I'm going to show you in just a minute. Okay, everyone. We have to be quiet. We're not supposed to be here. We are at Groom Lake Air Force Base Area 51. And what I'm going to show you are some of the aircraft that is set to be released for DCS soon. So let's go ahead and take a look at what some of these aircraft are. Alright. The first on the list is this nice little bird here. The F-14. Heatblur has been working on this one for 4 years plus and is set to be released sometime soon. There are going to be 2 versions of this plane, the F-14A and the F-14B. Difference, from my understanding, is just the engine, but we'll find out as soon as it's released. There have been a number of videos on this aircraft already, and I'm really looking forward to trying this one out. It's going to be really complicated, but a lot of fun. The next aircraft that's set to be released is the F-4E. A third-party developer called Bell Simtech has just relatively recently been absorbed into Eagle Dynamics proper, and they are working on the F-4E. This is going to be another fun one. It's going to work really well with the MiG-21. Although the F-4E never went up against the MiG-21 BIS in Vietnam, it did go up against each other in the Middle East. It's going to be a lot of fun, and another, you're going to have Rio slot and pilot slot. It's going to be a lot of fun flying this with a friend. And then we have the MiG-23. I am looking forward to this one. I'm really excited to have another Red Force plane. As you saw in the other section there, we had 4 full fidelity Red Force planes, 2 of which were trainers. I'm really looking forward to having something other than a trainer for Red Force ready to go. It has the swing wings like the F-14 and did go up against the F-14 in Libya, although different version, but still, it's going to be a lot of fun to fly. Now this one, you're probably looking at it and saying, what do I mean? I already showed the F-15. Well, I showed you the F-15C in Flaming Cliffs. This is the F-15E full fidelity. Razbam is working on this one, and once released it will carry air-to-air and air-to-ground. The F-15C only does air-to-air. This will carry air-to-ground, and again, a 2-seater cockpit. You're going to have a friend on this one. And the next one here is the F-16. It has been announced that Eagle Dynamics is working on the F-16, and they'll work fully on it as soon as the F-18 is done. We are going to be getting the C variant. This is going to be a lot of fun. And we have the Blue Angels with the F-18. We'll get the Thunderbirds with the F-16 later on. And we have this little building here. No, DCS is not going to release a flyable building. In this building here are all the other planes that we do not have a model for. They are working on the JF-17, that would be Deca Ironworks. They did the J-11A for Flaming Cliffs 3. They are working on a full fidelity JF-17. Another Red Force, another full fidelity plane. I'm really looking forward to that one. Little disappointed that it's not a aircraft that the Chinese actually fly, but you know, I'll deal with it. Another aircraft that's being worked on is the Mi-24, Mi-24. That helicopter is going to be worked on around the same time as the F-4E is going to be worked on. I don't know which one they're going to do first or release first, but they're working on both. So that's going to be a nice one to complement the Mi-8. Also, Razbam has teased the OV-10 Bronco. Now that one is air-to-ground and reconnaissance aircraft. Loved the look of the plane, had a model of it when I was younger. Kinda looking forward to flying that one too. Now there are a number of other aircraft that are being worked on, but that is all the time I'm going to be able to give you today on that. Keep an eye on the DCS forums and DCS news. They will let you know when the aircraft are going to be coming out and which ones are in development. Thanks for stopping by the Wolf Lounge, and I'll see you later. Get out of here, Hawk. Keep photobombing me. Go on, get. Where are you? Where are you? I know there's another one. Go away. Come on. Keep photobombing me. Take that. That'll teach you. Keep interfering in my videos. Can't even fly you anymore. Huh? What's that? Aw, come on, guys. It's just having a little fun.